Welcome to another episode of True Podcasts with me, Paul Candleton. Now, before we bring in our guests for today, I'd like to give thanks to Jesus Christ, our one and only Saviour. Our one and only Saviour. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for grace, especially grace. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do some amazing things in my life. And also thank you to Cypher Films for making True Podcasts happen and bracing me with such an amazing team. And Ellis. Well done, Ellis. Well, no, honestly, mate, we'd be lost about you.
Can I say Ellis again?
Ellis? Yeah, Ellis. Big shout out to Ellis. There we go, mate. You just stole the show.
MK Cypher Films is an independent production company based in Enfield, London, UK. We produce documentaries, short feature films, social media videos, and provide photography studio space for weddings, christenings, and corporate videos.
That's a team. And allow me to bring in my guests, Ray Coates and John Cheetham.
Nice to see you, Paul.
How you doing? You
yeah,
okay?
Good, thank
Paul.
you. Yeah,
John, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. How was your day? Because you travelled down to London yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, we did because of 6 hours average. So we thought we'd come down yesterday just to make it easier.
Did you do
on
anything
us.
while you was down here, like sightseeing or anything?
No, we got in about
Traffic.
6 p.m.
Traffic was,
Yeah,
that was the size.
That was like my journey this
back
morning.
end of a lot of cars.
we went on the M25 car park.
Yeah, do you know, honestly, I was driving in this morning and as I mentioned off air, I've had a bit of a busy morning being pulled from pillar to post, and I thought I'd get down there in relatively good time. And as soon as I hit the M25, it was just like you say, a gridlock car park. And you think, oh, here we go. So I do apologise for me being late today.
It's time we're quite used to it now. we're buying Paul a timepiece so he knows where he is.
I'll probably forget it.
A bit lost.
Do you know? Now this is true fact. Every time I'm on set, especially when I was on the Game of Thrones, I'd either forget my helmet or my sword or my gloves. So I had someone like put with me, just make sure he gets the set ready for shooting. So even if he did buy me a timepiece, I'd more or less fucking lose it anyway.
I used to be exactly the same. Watches pointless. I buy a watch and lose a watch. So
See what we got our phones, so anything really I need. Because Simon, one of my best friends, Simon Akinwumney, big shout out to Simon. He's just bought a nice timepiece. Pretty expensive one. I think going for a Rolex, and he bought something else. I'm not an expert in watches, but yeah, I just find it a big waste of money. I don't get it. If I want to know the time, I just check my phone, and it's all there. So for the people and viewers at home that haven't quite seen Ray and John's story, we've done part 1 and part 2 podcasts on here. Part 1 is already out to view. Part 2 is coming out soon, and part 3 is more about the healing processes of what you guys have been through. So for the viewers at home that haven't quite caught your story yet, John, do you want to tell the viewers at home a quick overview of what happened to you?
Quick story is I worked for a estate agent in a town near Blackpool. I was asked at the estate agents to help an American couple buy a large piece of abandoned land in Bulgaria. I went there, firstly to value the land, secondly to close the deal. On the second time I was there, the Bulgarian Mafia shot me, threw me over a bridge, kidnapped me, and a government minister, who I still speak to, got me out of the country. So I'm here.
Bless him. And now, Ray,
I think it's just incredible that somebody can
Yeah,
share a life so succinctly like that.
I'm sorry to bring you in straight after an epic
that's all
story.
right. Yeah, let me breathe for a moment. I just think it's absolutely astonishing. John manages to take the experience he's had and share it in the way he does. So I want to just say that before I share me.
It does, though. It puts it in a way where it could be just said at a dinner table on
Yeah.
a Sunday afternoon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shared over a roast potato. You know, it's it doesn't quite give it justice to what John has not only been through, but faced, survived, and lived to tell the story.
And shared.
And shared, yeah, exactly.
My only way of coping. I've got to find the humour in the... So comedy and tragedy have a very, very fine line. And that's the fine line that I'm on. I'm always on a knife edge of comedy and tragedy. And I find that's the easiest way of me dealing with that, is being on the comedy side of the knife edge.
We've certainly mastered that. I've got to be honest. If you can bottle it up and sell it, it'd make you a millionaire. I can probably assure you that. And Ray, you've got a story of your own. So if you'd like to tell the viewers of what your story was, and how you and John met as well.
Throat cancer survivor. 2008, I was diagnosed with throat cancer. It dramatically changed my life. I lost the ability to speak for a year. That's no exaggeration. I was writing notes of things that I wanted to say. Married at the time, 5 children. Not easy for them as much as for me. And of course, there was the risk that I may not regain my voice. And it impacted on me at the time, not just physically, emotionally, long-term spiritually, very, very much so. And faith is a continual progressive thing for me. Yeah. And at the moment, that's beginning to manifest in a different way, a renewed way, shall I say.
Good.
And I think that's where the kind of opening and the releasing of the experience, as part of it, I don't think I was qualified and ready to take on more, because I was coping with what I was coping with on my own. And then I come to meet people like John, yourself, others, so that now this healing process, if you like, of my own experience is enabling me to share a voice, not just mine, but John's through creative means, all of the other people that I'm working with at the moment. So I've kind of looked back on life and realised that my lack has become a greater abundance shared with others. That's kind of the way I put it.
Beautiful.
So from nothing, from silence. I mean, sounds of silence. Simon and Garfunkel. That line.
I was just trying to think then who sang it. So well done.
The line, silence like a cancer grows.
Oh, okay.
That hits me every time I hear the line. I think, wow, and I've literally felt that in the restriction of the voice, and as I've already said, emotionally, spiritually, the restriction of being able to express. But I also really, really am drawn to honour, want to play a part in as much as I can that experience of others. So as a songwriter, as a singer, ironically, using my voice, that's the means I use to open up the voice of others.
Beautiful. And, it's much like John. He's faced what he's faced, survived what he's survived. And much like yourself, he's healing in a different way. You know, you've gone with your music because you lost your voice and you've now got your voice back, and you've been gifted with a voice to be able to sing and make some great music, some great tunes. But also to complement John's words, the full guy.
Absolutely.
And I personally, I just think you complement each other in that way. You both lost your voice, yours for a year, John for, I think it was 5 years, wasn't it?
4.5 years, the ability to walk, and about 12 months not talking. But yeah, 4.5 years when I was told I'd never walk again. And I didn't believe the doctors. And I used my humour side of things to tell them what I thought. And that was the only thing, again, that pulled me through the situation. So a doctor would say, oh, we're going to amputate, you're never going to walk again. And I would say, are you sure you're a doctor? I would question them. Where did you qualify as a doctor? Are you sure you know what you're doing?
Well, I can.
You know, it's Tuesday or Wednesday. And that's the way I was with them. So that delayed them amputating my leg, and it gave me time to find someone that could fix it. And that's what happened. Because of the delay, someone came along that said, oh, I think I can do something with that. And that's what he did.
Well, I can relate to what you've just said regarding experts, because I had a broken neck and back and I had to learn to walk and talk and all that again. And a lot was said to me that I wouldn't play football, I wouldn't weightlift, I wouldn't do martial arts, I wouldn't do this, wouldn't do that. And I believed them, completely give up on myself. And I took loads of drugs. I felt sorry for myself. I got fat with takeaways, really give up, because I thought, well, that's it. You know, I can't do what I used to do, so fuck it. You know what I mean? But I was wrong, and they were wrong, and I was completely wrong on how I reacted to that situation. Completely wrong. If I could go back to that stage again, I would react differently. But I would never listen to anybody again who, and that's their opinion, but no one knows yourself better than what you do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for someone to tell me that I'm not going to be able to do this, and I'm not going to, if I can't do it, I can't do it. But at least let me try. At least let me attempt to try.
Yeah.
And if you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, well, then I've got my life back. Do you know what I mean? So it's not bad. And to a point, because I've got to say this, to a point, I need to give credit where it's due, because the medical team have saved my mum and dad very, very recent times. So you've got to try and find the right balance here. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't slate them too much.
No.
But you've got to give them credit where it's due, because they deserve it. But would I need to give the onus of responsibility over to someone else for them to tell me, oh, you can't do that? No, based on what? Your medical knowledge. Well, let me tell you what I can and can't do, and then we'll go from there. And fast forward, what was that, 2012? So fast forward over a decade. And it took me about 8 years to even attempt the gym. And I only did that because of the film industry and the career that was blessed upon me. And when I started to do these little stunts and things that I could do, I thought, hold on a minute. I can still do stuff. And I went back to the gym. A few things I can't do, like squats, but you go around that, you find alternative exercises to get the same results.
Yeah.
But I was back in the gym, and it felt brilliant. And it made me see things in a whole different light. So much like me, I had to then find out a way to heal, not only physically but mentally. And that's what I would like to ask you the same question, John, is how do you heal from not only physical scars but the mental scars that leaves upon you as a man?
The mental bit for me has been the hardest bit, but I think ironically COVID helped, because when COVID came about, I was imprisoned at home. Doctors said, oh, you can't go out, you can't go to work, you can't do this. Outside the door, there was nothing but toilet roll wars going on, you know.
Lest we forget.
Yeah, at least we forget. But no, I think we should remember how stupid humans can actually become.
And they're all clapping on a Thursday. Or someone turned a crop, or has someone found some toilet roll?
Cypher Films is an independent production company based in Enfield, London, UK. We produce documentaries, short feature films, social media videos, and provide photography studio space for weddings, christenings, and corporate videos.
What? I didn't know what was going on, so I started writing poems and songs and I put a poem on Facebook, and within about 5 minutes, a recording studio in San Francisco rang me and said, "Hey, kid, you're pretty good at this. Do you want to write some more?" And that's what I did. I wrote some more, and then a local celebrity unfortunately passed away through COVID, and I was asked to write his farewell poetry for his funeral, and then my name kind of became known in that circle.
And who was the celebrity?
It was Bobby Bull, Cannonball,
Childhood.
before your
Classic,
time.
classic.
Yeah,
No, but that was when comedy was comedy, though, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? When you can actually have a laugh
Yeah.
without worrying.
so but Bobby Bull was local to me, and I actually had the Nolan sisters giving my poem out at Bobby Bull's funeral, which I thought was like
Pretty cool.
amazing, because the Nolans haven't been famous since the early 70s.
Dance yourself dizzy, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in
But they
the
had
I'm
some
in the mood
big
for
hits though, didn't they?
dancing. They're still famous in Japan.
Are they?
Yeah,
Mind you,
amazingly.
Japan's pretty strange, pretty far out there, I've got to be
Yeah,
honest.
but so the Nolans were giving my poem out, and then an ex-boss of mine rang me, who is now married to Les Dawson's wife, and I started writing for her. And they ring me every week, "John, can you do this, do that?" So I'm still doing that. And then, of course, I met Ray about a year ago, just a bit after. And we've kind of hit it off with what I write, and Ray got involved in the book about my story, and we've created an album and much, much more.
Because how long's... We might have a look.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long's the book been out? In
Just over a year.
Yeah, I thought it... Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a great book, by the way. It's available on is it
Amazon.
Amazon. It's called The Fall Guy, and it's... Oh, where do you begin? It's a true story about John and exactly what happened to him. But it's also a testimony to him as a person, and how do you start to heal from not only what's happened to you physically and mentally, but the scars that it leaves back behind. You know, when you're, like you say, when you're home on your own and you've got time to think, which is always a good thing. How do you counteract that with obviously the good and the bad? But like you say, you've got Ray, who's come into your life, and you've started writing poems and getting thoughts down on paper, which I'm sure has credited you a lot more than what it would do if it stayed up in your head.
I think for me, the shared experience of us, and I would suggest others that are listening, is silence, is not being heard, not being listened to, not being seen, not being seen, not being understood. And I think, and I'm genuinely sharing it as this is what I'm feeling and thinking now, is the silence is the beginning. That's the beginning. So I can express that on behalf of myself, definitely. Definitely. For me, that created a reflection that I didn't appreciate at the time, because I was in the silence. So I was in it. I was thinking about it from a physical point of view, of course, that I couldn't communicate. Then I meet somebody like John, who had a similar experience, not the same. Yourself, others, talking to Ellis before we went on air, similar experience of life, of, to some degree, and I know this happens in acting, these are the words that we want you to say. But of course there is ad-lib, there is those moments that happen where you go into role and you share whatever it is that comes to you in that moment. So what I'm sharing in this is silence is the beginning. Silence is the beginning. So for me, I went from that, and then I share an awareness of it, a deep level silence, not being able to communicate. John, yourself, Ellis, those who are listening. And then you transfer that, you transform that into sharing that experience with others. And I think that's one thing I've found in a healing process in a different way for a fuller healing for me is working with John, is sharing. Here's somebody else who's been through some absolutely astonishing, overwhelming at times. And then I've grown in a year friendship with John.
I bet that's gone quick.
Yeah, very quick.
Flew,
Yeah.
But we've created out of the silence. We've created out of the silence. We've made something out of the silence. If you want to think of it spiritually, I'm sure from memory I'm saying this, but Genesis talks about kind of almost like a, the mist, the vapours.
Well, it says
there was nothing. There was
from
nothing.
dark there was made light.
There we are.
So from silence you've made music.
There
Do you know
we
what I mean? So
there we are, and that's it.
that's a credit to both of you, really.
Yeah, but I think that's an experience for many, many people. So if you feel in the silence, realise that there is the potential opportunity within that for that to become your renewed sound. I don't just necessarily mean in a physical way. That experience that you feel limited in, restricted in, constrained within, cannot do, and that's understandable. That's not to say feel different then. You can't feel different then because you're experiencing what you're experiencing. But know that can change and that will change. You can take that experience and that becomes the amplification, if that makes sense.
From where you are today, when you lost your voice, how did you get from where you was then to where you are today? What was the biggest obstacle that you found? Obviously, by the communication, which is obviously the biggest hurdle that you got to come across once you've lost your voice. But how do you come across all the other hurdles in between that big one?
The first thing that came to me is the first thing I'll share, because that's what I do, is a realisation nobody else can understand what you're going through other than you. So at the time, I had a major, major issue and did for years afterwards, feeling you don't understand what I've experienced. So I was expecting other people to have some level of what I was experiencing, family, those around me. I'm sure, definitely, I could say it's the similar for John. So the people that you would expect to be the support mechanism around you, when they're not, that was the biggest challenge, and that was a challenge that lasted for a long time. That lasted, I would suggest, even right through till now.
That was one of my main reasons to ask you the question. Is normally the people that are closest to you aren't normally the ones that are ready to support you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is, as mad as it sounds, it's always the least people that you expect are the ones that step up to the plate and really shock you.
Yeah.
And you think, wow, I didn't expect that from you. Okay, and you normally prove wrong in a lot of aspects.
Yeah.
So when the people,
forgiveness. I think ultimately for me to forgive,
but
for
also
me
to give them mercy as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
They couldn't understand. They couldn't understand because they hadn't experienced. So that happens over time, and I think with me, I'm not saying I don't get annoyed by things. I'm not saying I don't shout within the capacity of the voice that I've got to shout and scream, but not so much because I think in a way when you've not had something and then you have it back, you then have a choice as to what you do with it.
But you value it more as well.
Definitely.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Totally.
See, where you say you wouldn't necessarily make the same mistakes before. Okay, yeah, everyone shouts, everyone screams. If I lost my voice for a year, trust me, I'd be making as much noise as I possibly could.
Pretty much what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it gives it gives you the excuse to as well. Yeah. And I'll be saying I'd be milking it for all it's worth, but that's not you. But it's more the stuff you wouldn't do, take it for granted. Use your voice to put someone down. Use your voice to spread negative words. Use your voice in a way you promised yourself you'd never do it if you got your voice back, because you promise everyone anything if you could just get your voice back, or if I could just have a bit more time, because that's basically what the richest people in the world, when they're facing death in the face, their only wish is that they had a bit more time, and now you've been given a second chance, same as me.
Yep,
You know,
absolutely.
I shouldn't survive the crash that I did, but I did. So the second chance, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth, I don't want to waste. You know, so I fully get that aspect of using your voice in a different way than what you would have done if you hadn't faced a trauma in the first place.
And I think that's what I'm sharing on behalf of others from my experience, without saying, feel this way, everybody. Feel this way, everybody, because this is how I felt.
Would you say that was a bit more selfish for them? You've got to feel this way because I do.
That's definitely not how I feel, but I think it's more I'm sharing. If you feel you've lost something, make the most of what you've got.
Amen.
So when it comes back in perhaps a different way, you then have the option to choose, and that's why I'm drawn to admire people like John, people like yourself. The conversation with Ellis, those who
don't admire me. I'm not wearing a nice suit. All I do is ask questions. Really,
it's in the sense of what you've lived, and how you've taken that experience and you've used it to do what you're doing now, and that's the power. Because I've lived in the experience of thinking the things that are preventing me from doing what I want to do. So that frustration that I can't do this, I can't do that, want to do this, want to do that. Whereas I now actually realise the qualification in me, if I've got any qualification, is what I've been through, is that experience. And I think it's sometimes that valley of deep shadow that we at times naturally, understandably try to avoid. Because we don't want to think about the horrible stuff that we faced. But actually, that becomes a genuine, not cliche thing to say, a superpower. You know, the thing that you've lost is the thing that you've gained, depending on how you use it. So I think that's why I'm drawn to people who have done that. And I think that's what we can all do. That's what we can all do. So John and I, it's like, it's multiplying.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah, with meeting someone like John to complement yourself, that I've also, you can look at someone and think, wow, not only have you gone through what I've gone through, but you've gone through more,
absolutely,
and survived it. How? So that must put John not on a pedestal in your eyes, but as enough to say, well, if he can do it, so can I.
Respect,
and it gives you
definitely,
but it gives you a lot more belief that actually I can do this.
Yeah,
because he's done it.
Yep,
and he says that I can do it. So if he's already done it, then he must know what he's talking about. So I can do it.
And in some ways, it's even stronger. We can. I can. I will. I am. Definitely. But that's as far as I go. There's no apology, explanation needed for that. I will do all. I will. I am. I can. Now, we can. We are.
But you are. Look what
we
you're doing.
will. Exactly. And that's the bit that makes it more.
It's a team. On your own, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And with yourself, we all have weak links. But as a team, you're stronger.
Before leading up to what happened to you, did you ever see yourself as being as strong as what you are now? Did you ever see yourself as writing a book as the way you have and releasing it the way you have?
No.
Did you ever see yourself being called a superhero like you are?
No.
I know you
John.
laugh, but you are.
Just John.
Just John. Knew that was gonna happen. Just John. You're a guy that's survived the unthinkable.
Yeah.
And you've wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
You're here talking about it. You're there laughing about it.
Yeah.
And when you go home, you're listening to a song that's about you. So it's compliments on each other, really. On you with John. And much, if I can ask you the same question, before what happened with your voice, could you sing before? Was you singing before previously?
Yeah.
So obviously losing the voice that you did, much like myself, me being an ex-professional athlete, was, am I going to walk? Am I going to sing? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to? So to be able to get your voice back and to sing again, I think it's going to value it a lot more, treasure it a lot more, use it in the right way,
and
like you are with John.
And when you then get the opportunity to work on aspects of that with others, conveying their emotions, their experiences, their life.
In what way?
In the sense that the songs we've written, John's experience.
His words.
So exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've now got this opportunity to reflect a universal experience. For example, Cry. Cry is a song about John's loss and his Winkley Square, Preston, his flat, and the attachment of emotion with a home, with a building. But at the conclusion of the song outros with, "Some days we all need to cry." So the song goes from "all I want to do is cry," "all I had to do was cry," second chorus, final chorus, "Some days we all need to cry." So what we're creating is sharing John's experience, but also the universal experience of everybody has had that feeling of.
Yeah, but sometimes it's good just to cry.
Yeah.
Just get a good cry.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't hurt to hurt sometimes.
Can you repeat that?
Sometimes it doesn't hurt to hurt sometimes.
I think people forget that. Or people have lost the meaning from behind that because, like I've always said, there's just fuck all wrong with crying. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Sometimes it makes you feel better after it's like
I
a pressure release.
actually
Like laughter, really, to fine line.
This week, unknown to everyone apart from me, but it's in the book, I found myself in a department store in Preston where I suffered my worst day. And I overcome that this week. So in my book, I was in a shop, no names, Preston. I went up on the escalator while I was on crutches and couldn't get off. And they shut the escalator down for me, got me downstairs, and I had the worst day ever. This week, I found myself in the same department store because the weather was bad. I nipped in, not thinking where I was, to get out of the rain, and I did exactly what I couldn't do, just for me. I went up on the escalator and got off.
Did you go back down again?
Yeah,
I think, if I can,
that's something.
that's amazing, John. That's amazing for you to share that. And I think there's something massively metaphorical in that, in the escalation that's taking place in your life.
Yeah.
So the
I'm fine.
the more of, I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing.
It is because
because I've spent time with John.
I was just going to say
And
that.
I know when musically, book to film potentially, lots of different things. I watch John, and it is, but I'm sure he's aware of it. I'd be surprised if he's not when we're listening to something or talking about something to see how he's feeling within it. So I think just to share what you've just shared is a massive, massive step of courage, bravery, ascension, lifting up, rising up above that experience. That's amazing.
I looked at it from a different aspect of all them people that are whizzing past him, shopping, going about their own day.
Yeah.
And he's looking at this escalator like it's escalated to hell.
Yeah.
It's instead of going up to heaven, it's going up to hell. And you've got all these people aimlessly walking past him, not knowing what's going on right in front of them.
Yeah.
And of course, when he got to the top of them escalators, I bet he just wanted to put a J flag at the top. I've done it. I've got to the top. And all these people were just going past the day.
Yeah.
You know? And just that one solitary moment there, I bet he just went to the universe. Bollocks.
Yeah.
Because I did it. I did it. Yeah.
But yeah,
I
it
did
was
it.
only this week.
And do you know what? I'm going to go down and we're going to come back up again.
I'm going to say amen to that, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. I think we've all wanted to just go and just stick a middle finger up to the universe sometime and say, beat ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
If a bullet is the best you can do.
Do.
Yeah.
And I must feel sorry for you.
Wow.
I don't forget certain things. I may not remember everything like my gloves and my helmet, but certain things I do remember.
MK Cypher Films is an independent production company based in Enfield, London, UK. We produce documentaries, short feature films, social media videos, and provide photography studio space for weddings, christenings, and corporate videos.
You still live a really genuinely honest, normal life.
Yeah.
You know, there's no glitz or glamour. You know, you are who you are. You've got that story behind you. But I think the biggest credit you can be to you is you.
Yeah.
You know, that you've stayed that way. You stayed humble. You can laugh about it. You've met some great friends.
Yeah.
You know, you've got an amazing story to tell.
Yeah.
And if I can help bring your film from book to film, then I think the bit in between, though, is where we should do a documentary about each of your journeys and
Great.
and how
Thank you.
normal your life is in between. But then when you do the Q&A sessions and you do the singing sessions at HMV, which I'm sure many people at home have been following, it gives a sense of realness to the whole scenario, where you go from that little special moments, may it be a couple of hours, back to your normal day job.
Yeah.
You know, whether I don't know what you do for a living.
I deliver desserts every evening, literally every
And we'll follow you
night,
around
just to pay my
doing
bills.
your
And I'm still paying bills from when I got shot
bless you.
because I lost my place.
I'll look forward to the day when them bills are paid and you pay that last payment.
So do I.
Yeah.
And then you can go again. Bollocks. Because it's done, it's finished.
Stand at the top of the escalator with a check.
I'd say more of a megaphone saying it's paid, it's done.
Yeah.
Just like Jesus said on the cross,
Yeah.
it's finished.
Yeah.
Can
It's
we
paid.
make it one of those big yeah.
Just get one of them big scroll banners. It's done.
I made it.
I made it. But
Yeah.
what you have made is a legacy that other people can look up to, and a book that a lot of people can read and take some promises from. And we've done the podcast. This is part 3, but it's took 3 parts to get both of your stories not only out there, but the justice that it deserves, really.
I think as well, it's growing. It's growing. It's snowballing because of, for example, with yourself. You know, our connection. And when I met John, it was the book. Then we've now created music. Then the vision that's grown into a soundtrack. There's now discussions of book to film, documentaries. We talked off air. I showed you before we began. Dexter Briggs.
Yeah, we'll bring Dexter in shortly, very shortly. I've not forgotten about Dexter. But the reason that I started this whole platform was, one, to meet some amazing people with true stories, true facts that people can listen to and hopefully take away in their own lives. I mean, to implement some positive changes to help them. But most of all, it's to give people back a voice that people either get overlooked, overshadowed, cancelled, whatever you want to call it, especially nowadays. And a place where people can come to for real stories instead of fake bullshit propaganda that you see on TV. But most of all, that we can all relate to each other. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, really? You know, so you don't feel so isolated as you and John most would have felt somewhere along your journeys of healing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Would have felt that isolation, whether it's communication, whether it's support, whether it's understanding, or whether it's someone just to sit with and say nothing and do nothing. Just be there. You know, you don't have to really do anything, just be there. So I'm not alone, you know. And I think that's overlooked a lot with people. People are too scared to ask for help, or they feel like it's the weakest part when it isn't. Because on your own, everything's hard. Shared, a burden's not a problem anymore. It's doable. It's achievable.
They say a burden shared is a burden halved.
It's a burden halved,
Don't they? So,
but it's also a burden lifted.
yeah.
Isn't it? Personally, I think. So, what would you say to viewers? We'll go with you first, Ray. What would you say to viewers that have facing what have you faced especially with not only losing your voice but cancer, everything that brings in itself, because we're facing it personally as well. What's the first steps that you would recommend to anyone that's feeling a bit isolated or nervous or anxious or anything like that?
That's a massive question. It's such an individual experience, because I've had cancer. I've met and spoken to a lot of people that have cancer. It's just part of what happens. So just, I might be going for a walk through the park and you end up in a conversation with somebody. So I think every experience, of course, is different. To draw inside yourself as much as possible, realise how strong you are, realise the resources that you have within yourself. I often think of breaking down words, so resource.
What do you
So
mean?
resources, if you think of the word resource. So find the source. Remember, in our members, we have an essence, we have an energy, we have an ability. Draw on that as much as you can to identify who you are and what matters to you. Realise that
A lot of people don't use them
not
nowadays.
everybody can see things as you're experiencing them. So those loved ones around you, it's not easy for them. It's not easy for them in a different way. Now, whilst you may not be able to help them at the time, I definitely couldn't. No way. I couldn't at the time I was going through what I was going through personally, think what it was like for my wife, think what it was like for my children. I couldn't. Because it was so on the floor, drained, completely void of anything, empty, totally empty. Realise that you can get through it, you can rebuild again, and then you can have a renewed appreciation. Faith is something we all have.
Amen.
Even atheists have faith.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people that I most want to meet, I'm kind of almost putting it out there now, is Ricky Gervais. Because I want to challenge the thought of questioning the possibility of something beyond us. So, atheism. Not from a religious point of view, not from a dogmatic point of view, but just we experience so many things in life that are miraculous within themselves. Life itself is miraculous.
I was just going to say the same thing.
We don't need necessarily proof or disproof
But
of
don't you think
anything.
atheism is just uneducated?
I think
Really?
I think it's lazy. I think
Like,
it's
yeah,
lazy.
well, yeah,
And-
you just blow
and-
me
and-
about the
and
wall.
I
Don't you
think-
think, John?
I think
Yeah.
equally, I think religion, if it's used in the wrong way, let me explain, can be lazy if you're dogmatically saying that you know all of the answers. None of us know all of the answers. For the infinity and the divinity that's beyond us, none of us know the answers. So that's a long way of me answering your question. The,
No, it's a great answer.
the divinity that is within us,
Amen.
find that. And when you find it, that's a massive, massive key.
But I call that a spirit.
Yeah,
That's who you
likewise,
are, yeah.
likewise. That's a heck of a lot of unlocking of different things. And because I lost that along the way, I lost a form of it, I refound a new form of it, and at the moment, I'm building and genuinely growing an even bigger, more expansive version of it. And then, therefore, you meet with other people, communicate with other people. You're not defined by the experience you're going through. You're not defined by the cancer.
Strengthened.
The cancer's not you.
No.
The cancer's not you as a person.
But it will
and not
strengthen you.
Yeah, not you entirely. So you've got the personality still. I've seen it in other people. And I've seen other people going through chemo, which I didn't.
Barbaric.
And experiencing what they're experiencing and having a sense of humour in that. And I've observed it as a cancer experiencer and looking at it and thinking, wow. You know, we are surrounded by some absolutely incredible human beings on our planet Earth. It's an exceptional place to be.
It is, and that's where I will bring John in on the same question as an incredible human being who uses humour,
Yeah.
laughter
Yeah.
to obviously help heal the process. So,
Yeah.
what was your words of wisdom? be?
My take on it, and not sounding like David Jason here and trying to speak French, But deja vu. We've all been here before, and your body remembers what you were like before the incident occurred. So your body remembers where you were before. Every part of your body has got a memory. So your body knows where you should be, because it was like that before your incident. So it remembers how it should be. So it remembers how you can get back to where you were.
I didn't think of that. Wow. I do a lot of training in the gym.
Yeah.
I do a lot of martial arts. And I say when I give up, I'll give up for about 5 years. I got muscle memory, so I fell back. Not really straight away, but I'd give it 6 months. But I pretty fell back into the frame that I had.
Yeah.
And I didn't give that thought. I didn't give that aspect a thought. To be fair,
So
I think you just hit the nail on the head.
Deja vu. We all feel first time somewhere. We've been there before. We all have that. But your body knows whether you've been somewhere or not. And every part of your body has got that memory. So it remembers where you were before the incident. So you can get yourself back to where you were.
That's an answer that I didn't expect.
Water does. I can't remember how much we're made up of water. I
think it's about 60-70%.
Yeah. Water holds memory.
Yeah.
There's been loads of research.
Have you ever seen that
into
water test? It's on YouTube. It's called the water test, and they've put some water in a petri dish, and then they put it in the room and played soft gospel music, and then like satanic heavy metal shit, and you want to see the difference in the crystals in the water. I mean, this one, the heavy metal looked like cancerous, yellow, horrible, jagged. Yeah, the gospel, it was like crystals. Do you know what I mean? And it was, and that's just for music.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Energy.
So there's got to be a frequency that hits this water in your body that makes it turn into that certain way.
That's why they recommend alkaline foods, and they recommend mats that are plugged in that give you the vibe of the earth. That's why they recommend walking on the beach barefoot,
and
walking in the field and barefoot.
On a jellyfish. Ooh, wish I'd done that.
Well, yeah, they're all out there, but there's jellyfish in the street, but they've got 2 legs. Remember that.
Write that down. We'll turn it into a song. There's jellyfish in the street, but they've got legs.
2 legs. And they sting harder.
Yeah, I bet they do.
Yeah, so remember that. But the earth has got natural healing. The natural sound of the earth, the actual decibels, is exactly the same decibels that a piano plays.
Is it really?
Exactly.
So repeat that again, because
So the natural sound that the earth gives off is exactly the same as a piano plays. Exactly the same. So there is healing in music.
Yes.
wow, I didn't know that. Okay, that's
So the earth
frequency.
gives off something like 6 or 7 decibels naturally as it's turning, churning, moving. And that is exactly what a piano starts at. You hit one note, it's exactly the same loudness as the earth.
What I have found out since I've been doing these podcasts, and bear with me on this, is some people's views on the earth itself. Some people think it's flat, some people think it's round. So I've had fucking triangular, I've had not round but sort of circleish. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Do you know what I mean? But I can't disagree, because how many times am I going to take a picture from outside the earth myself and say, right, that's how it looks because I can see it from my own fucking eyes.
Yeah.
You know, how many times am I going to none? So if I was see someone, we had a guy last week said, "Oh, the Earth's flat now." Yeah, I know, but I can't disagree with him
No.
because I don't know enough
No.
to say, well, it can't be. The only way I can counteract that is, well, it's not what it says in the Bible. Sorry, but it does say it's a globe, and a globe isn't fucking flat.
When
it's
you
a sphere.
when you look up at the moon,
But then he asked me,
the Earth is the same. It's round.
yeah. But then he asked me, what about the water? Well, haven't we got like an atmosphere and gravity that keeps everything?
Can I
in?
present a stronger consideration?
Go on.
Which is not an argument. It's not a debate.
No, please.
Because it's something that can continue on infinitely, ironically. Yeah? It's not deep. It's not profound. Quite the opposite. It's what you do on it that's more important.
Amen.
It doesn't matter what shape it is. I mean, yes,
Amen.
okay, that's an interesting sideline discussion. I'm not saying it's round, it's flat.
Who cares?
What I'm exactly,
Yeah.
because I think the thing to do is this is the current experience, so use it. And I think it's an example of, in my opinion, it's an example of a lot of time spent on something that isn't actually really doing anything. It doesn't matter. Did we travel to the moon and back?
No.
There's another one. There's another one. Yeah. So if
Cypher Films is an independent production company based in Enfield, London, UK. We produce documentaries, short feature films, social media videos, and provide photography studio space for weddings, christenings, and corporate videos.
that can be refuted, of course it can. Of course it can. Yeah. But why would we need to prove that to other people? Wouldn't a better use of time be? It looks amazing up in the sky, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It does all these
Yeah.
things it does, I think. But meantime, how are you getting on?
You okay?
What's happening with your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything we can share together? What can we do?
Far more important.
Totally.
Than the actual shape of the fucking Earth. Anyway, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, that's a fair point. I'd need. You're gonna have to write that one down.
You,
for
you,
me. I
can, you,
can
can,
use
you can
many
apply that
times.
to gender, you can apply that to race, you
Oh,
can
don't
apply
even
that
get
to
me
religion,
started on that,
you can,
honestly.
you can apply that to age, you can apply that to absolutely everything, because meantime, we are part of that one family of species. We are a species, human. That's it. If you bring it down to that, that takes care of absolutely everything else.
If you think about
if
what
we
you've just
start
said,
focusing more on being human
exactly,
and less on the different perhaps views we have of certain things, what are the basic common things we need? Love, compassion, understanding. We do that more with each other, even if we don't agree with each other. We don't have to agree with each other to love each other.
yeah, but don't you think that's especially the boom of technology has been lost? That form of connectivity.
I think it
What
comes.
was meant to have connected us has pretty much separated us, to be honest.
It's lazy for me to not understand your point of view. It's easier for me if your point of view doesn't agree.
I wouldn't say
me,
lazy. I'd say he was uneducated.
I'm saying
to do so.
that I think a common thing without us knowing is that if I would have to take time to understand your point of view.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's lazy of me if I don't take that time. And I think without admitting to it, it's quite a strong thing to say, I get it, but it is a very, very common thing where people don't want to invest the time. So therefore, that person's that.
But you need a
person's
certain level of intellect, though, to be able to understand why that person's come to that conclusion in the first place. So once you understand them and then research it for yourself, you think, well, yeah, I can actually see why they actually think that way. So to understand, that is a skill.
Yeah.
So when you got an uneducated person that doesn't really understand you, they'll just say, "Oh, well, that's not real." Okay, based on what though? You can't just say that and not back it up with any facts or any baseline of anything. You can't just say that. That just makes you look an idiot,
Yeah.
So if you're going to counteract it, you need to counteract it with something that doesn't make you look a fool or uneducated. You can't just say, "Oh, well, that don't exist." Okay, then based on what?
Me and Ray talked earlier. A while back, I wrote a poem called "Under the Same Skies." And whether you're black, brown, pink, yellow, green, whatever you are, whether you're fat, thin, whatever religion you believe in, whether the earth's flat, square, round, triangular, whatever, we all live under the same sky.
Amen.
We all live under the same sky. And believe me, if you look up, which a lot of people don't in their lives, they'll be like,
Well, they're all on show looking at the phone, aren't
yeah.
It's tough to look up in Blackpool.
Yeah,
though, isn't it?
if
It's
you-
tough to look up because you get lots of water in
Lots
your
of
eye when you look up. So.
look up and you see the sky there, and all of us, whether we're in Africa, Blackpool, or even Burnley,
Burnley.
we all
Bless them.
live, we all live
Someone's
under
gotta
the
live there.
same sky. Oh, well,
Controversial.
maybe not in Burnley, but hey,
Yeah,
that's true.
No
That's
comment,
true.
I'm not saying anything.
I didn't give that a thought. To be fair, all under the same sky.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it's not about the shape of the earth, but what you do on it.
yeah,
That's what counts.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Why didn't I say that last time? That would have been like a nice little counter view. That
Yeah.
would have been. But yeah, honestly, since part 1 to part 3, it's been. I mean, it's been a journey for me. You know, I mean, I thought I had a journey until I met you guys, and yeah, it just puts me into a position where you feel a bit privileged to be able to get people's points of view, journeys, stuff for me to think on how I react to other people. It gives me, because I've got a patience of a tea candle, you know what I mean? So when I see you guys and how humble you guys are, especially what you've been through, I thought that doesn't give me any justice really to not give patience to other people, because I don't know what they've been through, you know.
Yeah.
You don't, and everyone's got their own story, everyone's got their own journey. But I think the credit is the kind of person that you are when you finish that journey, when you come out of the woods.
Yeah.
What can you look back and think, do you know what? Not only am I stronger, but I've got so much more now than what I thought I'd lost before.
Yeah.
Much like yourself, you said you lost a marriage, but yet you've gained, from what I can see, an amazing partner. You know, you've got your voice back, you're making songs, you're making great friends. So really, bar giving life giving you a swift boot up the arse.
That's true. It's true.
We all need that.
I really tried then not to laugh.
I honestly don't like to admit to it, but actually, I'm just hearing truth. Yeah, definitely.
Have you really lost all that much that you haven't gained back?
No, because and that's the thing. Yeah, you lose people on the way, and sometimes even family
Yeah,
disconnected with,
yeah.
who don't understand it, and things go on. But
Sometimes it's too much for someone to comprehend.
Yeah,
So the best thing that they want to do is just stay away.
yeah.
And because it goes on for so long, that you sort of get in a rut then, don't you? You don't know, especially when you come back to see that person, you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
You feel a bit awkward. So yeah, I fully get it when people do stay away because they don't know what to say or they don't know what to do. What would you say to them people? Would you say, don't, just say anything, bar nothing?
I think it's better even to say it's like grief, isn't it? When
I know it
somebody
sounds a bit mad, but
loses
how are you?
somebody, yeah, just say I really want to find some words to say, but I can't. I wanted to let you know. I genuinely, I know it's a cliched thing, but I don't know what to say. But I wanted to come up and say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted a hug. I don't think we hug enough in the UK. I don't think
we do a lot of
think
stuff in the UK, but
we
that's
hug
a whole
enough.
different podcast.
And I think just worldwide, there are more kind of tactile communities than ours. I think being some kind of connection of some kind, because we are all part of the human family.
Well, we mentioned a person called Dexter, 15-year-old lad who'd been making music with you and John.
Yeah.
And when he said 15, I was like, how in fuck's name would a 15-year-old make music like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we play some music, you'll see just what I mean, because I couldn't even play I still can't play the triangle, but for a 15-year-old, I've tried to play the guitar, and about the closest I've got is the air guitar. That's about it, and I can't even get a note on that. So when we do play Dexter's music, what was the song that we
It's
listened to
Fall
before?
Guy, the guitar bridge.
Fall Guy, yeah, that was
So
it.
we've taken the song, the title track of the projected soundtrack that we're working on at the moment. So the soundtrack of John Cheetham's life. And one of the songs, Fall Guy, we've rearranged it. Bit of a vocal of me at the beginning, bit of vocal of me at the end. And throughout the entire track, Dexter has written himself a guitar solo
So
for,
even
for the entire song.
again added impressiveness to what he's done. And when you hear it, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
So if you want to try and sort out the song while me and John have a quick chat,
Yeah.
and we'll give it a quick listen to. Where do you record this?
Record in a studio in Warrington, so
Oh, okay.
about 5 or 6 miles out of Manchester. Probably takes about an hour from Blackpool. It's a farmhouse, but in an outbuilding, probably pigsty, sheep hut, something like that. He's got a full recording studio.
Wow.
And he records many artists have been there. As you can imagine, it's only 5, 6 miles out of Manchester. It's right by the motorway. So he's had
Location's
sessions
perfect,
there for all the major stars that have been in and out of Manchester. And for us, I live near the motorway and so does Ray in Blackpool. It's easy access for us. It's like an hour and we're door to door.
Because when we do this documentary that I'd like to start, whether we start it this year or early next year, whatever works for us, but I'd like to get some footage of you recording in the studio and be on that journey.
I want a name, if I can, Mark Walker. Mark Walker is the sound engineer at the studio.
Big shout out to Mark.
It's Mark's studio. And I want to mention his name. He doesn't do anything in social media at all. He's not in Facebook. He's not in Instagram. He's not in YouTube. But I'm mentioning his name because I know I'm mentioning his name.
Bless you.
And because he's so important, and John, and he's so important.
So what was that? Mark Walker.
Mark Walker.
So big shout out to Mark Walker. I don't know how you're not on YouTube or any social media platforms, dude. No idea how you're doing it, but
I'll make sure he watches it, especially that bit.
And I want a big shout out to the fall guy, Lee Majors. So Lee Majors this week.
Is that who you sent me a picture of?
Yeah, he signed a painting to me.
And who is he?
He was the fall guy in.
Is that the original?
Film, the original one.
Is that the 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lee Majors was the $6 million man, and he was the fall guy. It was Coke Sievers in the fall guy. So stuntman.
What was he in Blackpool?
No, America, worldwide.
Yeah, but was he in Blackpool?
No.
Where did you meet him?
A painter friend of mine who lives in Birmingham flew out with a number of paintings to get signed to New York.
Right.
And Lee
Lee
Majors has signed one for me in New York.
Signed for you.
This
right,
week.
Okay, my apologies. I
He
thought
got a copy of my book and saw the fall guy and sent me a painting.
Brilliant. So have we got the? We got the song ready for you to listen to. Now, bearing in mind this is a 15-year-old guy, Dexter. He wrote it. He's played it, wrote it himself, and what was it called?
It's called Fall Guy, the Guitar Bridge.
Here we go.
One leg down on terra firma ground. He can still hear the angels' amplified sound. There's no escape route to find. He simply become the fall guy.
Oh, proper 80s sound, isn't it? I often wonder if I could have learned guitar or piano or something like that.
I know I couldn't.
I've tried.
Not that well.
But when you're younger, things seem to seep in a lot easier than when they do when you're older. I love that tune. I love that song. And this is 15, remember? 15 years old. Brilliant. Proper driving music, I think. And this is what I'm going to listen to when I go home.
fits in. This is not on the CD,
Is it not? Oh,
Oh,
But it-
Sunday, yeah.
that would have been nice.
but it will be on the vinyl.
Oh, okay. Are you doing vinyl as well?
That's what we will be doing. That will be the whole soundtrack.
That'll be ready January, February.
There's no rush, is there?
So when you do the documentary, you'll have a copy of the vinyl.
Yeah.
So that's Dexter, everyone. That's his music. That's what we've done for the Fall Guy.
Full Rabbit Guitar
Yeah.
Bridge.
So that's Dexter and what he's doing with John and Ray. And I can't believe he's 15. That's a talent, a real talent, and a blessing that you both found him. You know,
Totally.
to be able to carry on your journey to the next level, really.
And that he said yes.
And he said yes.
And that
It
he
always
said
helps.
yes,
It always
and it
helps.
Opened up another opportunity.
Well, it's been a privilege to have you back on the show for the third and final part of your journey, and obviously the podcast interviews. But just before we wrap the interview itself, is there anything you'd like to add, John, to any viewers out there that obviously are finding life hard?
Just remember what I said earlier. Deja vu. You've been there before. And your body has memory. Every part of your body has memory. So it remembers where you were before. And all I say to you is, remember that.
Bless you. John's on all social media platforms, like Facebook, Instagram. He's on YouTube. He works a lot with us. So if you want to reach out to John and pick his brains on anything, then please feel free. And obviously, Ray, the same question to you. Have you got anything you'd like to pass on to the viewers of how you think that people can cope better with what they're doing?
Open up. Be you. Be you. It is a cliche thing, but everybody else is taken. So find the best you and keep working on being the best you. We're not finished. I think of a meditation I listen to often, something like, I am a masterpiece in progress. So I think if we think of ourselves as a canvas, we've got things that other people haven't got, but we can adapt, we can change, we can add, we can bring in other people, learn from other people. So I think open up, learn more, be more, ultimately be you.
Perfect. I couldn't put it better myself. So John and Ray, both of you, thank you for coming. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing your journey. But most of all, thank you for being awesome guests.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Bless you.
Cheers,
Okay.
buddy.
Thank you. God bless.
Thanks, Paul.
Well done. That's right. We'll have a break. We'll have coffee or anything.
Yeah, fantastic.